Tonight on CTV News, help's needed to support the young homeless in Christchurch. What's being done? A petition to save South Brighton Holiday Park makes its way to council, and the Crusaders gear up for Wellington.
Broadcasting across Canterbury from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Kia ora, good evening. A Restart Mall security guard has raised red flags over the homeless problem in the CBD. He wants the Christchurch City Council to intervene by setting up temporary accommodation for anyone who needs it. Marcus Gibbs reports.
Christchurch's post-earthquake homeless situation is pretty bad. This time last year, a CTV investigation revealed many people living on the streets during the cold winter, including young teenagers. This winter, the homeless are back in the media spotlight, and so bad that a security guard at the Christchurch City Council has raised a red flag. There are just too many homeless young people in this city.
A lot of these kids come from good homes, but they've been kicked out of the homes by their grandparents or their parents or their friends, or they've been kicked out of homeless shelters and facilities because of drug, alcohol and synthetic cannabis abuse issues.
John Stringer wants to work with the Christchurch City councillors to set up accommodation, providing assistance for the homeless.
We could work together to produce some sort of temporary facility, which is an intervention sort of facility, which might be something like decommissioned buses set in a quadrangle or a marquee or an abandoned warehouse where we could fit some bunks.
A camp mum or dad would run the facility, managing the 23 to 25 homeless young people in the process.
We could provide them with food and shelter, but intervene in the problems that are putting these kids on the streets for some of them longer than 10 years.
There are facilities in the city for homeless men, but they're no place for anyone under the age of 18. John's aim is to get the homeless teenagers off the street and into jobs, teaching them new skills along the way.
In exchange for 8 hours shelter a night and a hot meal, which would get you through the day, could you come and help us remove some of the sediment from some of the riverbanks or areas in our city? Perhaps we could teach you to build rock walls.
John says he's helped rehouse the homeless in the past, but the problem is too big for one person, and he wants the City Council to step in to help.
Managing them on a case-by-case basis to address the issues that are preventing them getting into meaningful work and into meaningful accommodation.
Some of the homeless have serious issues which are stopping them from being able to work. They need some assistance or help, which they're not getting.
And that is often the problem we hit and confront, is that these kids simply do not want to work or are uninterested in working or are unable to work because they have difficulty socialising with people.
Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell was intrigued by John's idea.
You are absolutely right. Treating the symptom doesn't solve the problem.
No doubt more will come from John's suggested solution in the coming months. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
Canterbury Police want to know the whereabouts of 23-year-old Mark Nicol. Nicol has an outstanding arrest warrant in relation to a domestic assault and is known to spend time in both Christchurch and Greymouth. As shown in this picture, he is described as European of medium build with short dark hair and with a distinctive tattoo on the right-hand side of his neck. Police are urging the public to not approach him, but if they do have information, to contact them immediately. Well, it was buckled and bent by the earthquakes, but today one of the city's landmark footbridges was reopened.
It's been a long time coming, and now the Antigua Street footbridge is back open over the Avon River. The usually flat deck bridge, badly damaged in both the 2010 and 11 Canterbury earthquakes, being squished slightly, creating a bow and unable to be used. The configuration was built on reinforced concrete abutments, causing the steel to bend upwards and steel joints to fail. But after nearly 8 months in the making, an official opening was held this morning, with the Ark Bridge being cut free from the riverbanks near the Antigua boat sheds and the steel structure being rebuilt as a replica off-site. It was reinstalled early this month after nearly 115 years located at the site, with a large crane putting it back into position. The bridge has large significance to Christchurch, being one of a few historic structures left after the quake. Now it will help facilitate with foot traffic, both from the Christchurch Hospital and the central city once again.
And here's a wee fun fact for you. There were plans 50 years ago to turn the footbridge into a road bridge, so there you have it. Well, still to come here on CTV News, Glenn Livingston joins me after the break to talk about why pay rises have been rejected by the city's councillors.
Hi, I'm Chris Lynch. Join me every Monday at 8:30 on CTV as we discuss the issues affecting you, your family and everything to do with Canterbury. That's CTV 8:30 right here.
Computer not working? Replace or repair? DIY or get a technician? Looking for parts? Thinking of upgrading? Need accessories? You've got questions, we've got answers. Global PC.
The preparation, the devotion, the fearlessness, the intensity. Runway model management. First impressions are everything.
Made to measure interiors, made with care, made for you.
Join Graham Sinclair and the team at Gone Fishing as they bring you great stories, fishing tips and beautiful scenery. Gone Fishing, Friday night at 8:30, right here on CTV.
And welcome back to CTV News. Well, passionate residents of the South Brighton Holiday Park want their homes to stay open, presenting a petition to the Christchurch City Council today. Marcus Gibbs reports.
South Brighton Holiday Park, it's Nairi's happy place.
It's a fabulous environment. We've got the forest behind us. We've got the estuary just through the other side of the forest. It's 2 blocks to the beach. The wildlife, the shelter, the camaraderie, the lovely community feel of the camp.
For 70 years, it's been a temporary and permanent home for thousands of people like Nairi, but its future is up in the air.
And it's just a nonsense to close it down.
The Christchurch City Council is proposing to shut the park down because of the high cost of fixing the earthquake-damaged buildings and land. The cash-strapped City Council would shave $3 million from its budget if it shut the popular park down. But Nairi's not going to let that happen.
I feel quite strongly that it's actually up to the council to come up with a valid reason for actually closing it.
This morning she delivered a petition to the City Council with more than 6,000 signatures, urging the council to keep the park open.
Here we have 6,680. 30. Oh, lots anyway.
20 families are permanent residents, another 8 are based at the park while their homes are repaired. The current lessees have been running the park since 2005, and since the earthquakes they've been operating on a month-by-month lease. Around 2 years ago the council threatened to close the park because its kitchen and bathroom block had been weakened by the earthquakes, but after a public outcry that decision was reversed. Now the park is back, facing the chopping block.
Your whole world is just comes tumbling down. There's nothing wrong with our houses. So we couldn't understand why it was going to happen again.
Nairi says it's a popular place year-round, especially with tourists. 10,000 visit every year, and 700 of the online signatures came from overseas visitors who've fallen in love with the place.
I love through the summertime when there's this endless overseas tourists just coming through.
Nairi has a plan if the place does get shut down, but the council might not like to hear it.
Just throw us out in the rubbish and we'll go and freedom camp with the people and have fisticuffs and poo in the corners.
Following today's petition presentation, Nairi hopes the voices of the 6,000 backers of the park have been heard.
There were a few thumbs up, a few, smiles, and there was no real negative feeling coming through at all, which was good.
Christchurch Mayor Leanne Dalzell plans to meet with the New Brighton residents to discuss the park in more detail, along with other issues affecting the area.
But when we come out, we'll have a much better basis for a dialogue rather than to see it just as a pure, you tell us what you think.
If these residents don't get their way, there is likely to be more protests on the cards to make sure the message to save this place sinks in at the Christchurch City Council. Marcus Gibbs, CTV News.
And now Christchurch City Councillor Glenn Livingston joins me now. Glenn, it's been quite a busy week in Council today, hasn't it? And I just want to start with the South Brighton Holiday Park, which you've just seen on the screen there now. You've been quite involved in the petition, haven't you?
Yes.
And how important do you think the park is?
Okay, I've been involved to the extent of encouraging them to sign it. Technically, I have to display an open mind, but I've said to them, look, if you want to communicate with the council and you've suggested doing this, then go for it, you know, and it's good to have that support.
Absolutely. Is it worth keeping the park? Is it worth having it? Because obviously it's been brought up that, you know, they want to do something with it. Is it worth keeping it?
Absolutely. I think it's a jewel in the crown. As I said, I have to remain open to the whole conversation about this and the decision making, but you would have to say it has a lot going for it. You know, I think it is a hidden jewel in the crown. If the council moved to close it, it would be taking away that tourist potential. It would also be rendering about 20-odd people homeless. So that would be a huge call to make.
Absolutely. Now, 6,630 roughly people signed the petition. Do you find that number quite outstanding?
I'm not surprised. I knew there was a great, you know, feeling and momentum behind it, and I think it's a representation from the wider East as well, that this is a special part of the world for them, and that they would like the council to hear that and to recognise it.
Absolutely. I just want to talk to you now about pay rises as well. That's been brought up about getting pay rises, but you guys have chosen not to do it. Why is that? Not to accept it? Why is that?
I think at any time it's a difficult thing to consider, especially in a post-quake time. And you know, how can we actually look our residents in the eye and say, well, we're accepting this, and but we're imposing huge rates increases on you at the same time? I don't think ethically that stacks up.
Yeah,
so,
I guess too, like with Tony Marriott, the CEO previously in the previous council in 2011, obviously there was a big outcry when that happened.
Yes, there was.
Does this council kind of want to refresh that and just not want to have that kind of reputation from the last council?
Yeah, I think so. I think it wants to try and demonstrate it's staying more in touch with the local community and has its feet on the ground. The council's an easy target. I mean, we'll never be perfect, but we have to try and show that we're staying connected with our community.
Absolutely. Do you know where that money's going to then, for the pay rises?
Yeah, well, it seems like the Remuneration Authority will kind of foist it upon us. So there are moves afoot to either push it or redirect it to the Mayor's Welfare Fund, or perhaps even to the Community Board chairs.
Absolutely. Let's move now to the long-term plan. Now, over the last few weeks, there's been the Mayor and the Chair sessions, which we've followed here on CTV News. A lot of people have turned out to that. And in fact, there was 2,000 submissions in total. What's the thought about that, having that many submissions? I think it's fantastic, and I think there's been some great local initiatives, including in my own ward, to encourage people to kind of, if you like, access local democracy. We would like to think we're reasonably accessible anyway through existing processes, but if this initiative by Vicky Bucks to have the Mayor and the Chair, or the open forum, you can just about say what you like. 16th of May, we're going out to New Brighton itself, so you know, we're going out hopefully to listen to the community there as part of the LTP process. Then I would like to think that makes us more accessible. Absolutely. When I was speaking to Vicky Buck last time, and she said that it's good to have Mayor and the Chair with people who can come to the council, but she wanted to see more going out there. Is this a step forward for that, to going out to people to get their thoughts on like the long-term plan or any other issue? Yes, I think it is. We went out to New Brighton on September the 4th last year. We're doing it again this year, 16th of May. I think of the Australian model, the previous government had a community cabinet that went around the country. So I think that it's that kind of principle of going towards the people and listening and being in their community, in their context. Cool. So the long-term plan consultation now has finished. There's still a couple more submissions you guys are taking, is that right? Just a couple here and there, isn't there? Yes, there are. There's been a good amount of submissions, particularly from our ward. And but if you haven't lodged a written submission, you can still come in verbally and make a time to speak to one. So yeah, the options aren't completely closed down. Awesome, fantastic. And I guess what's next now? I guess what happens now with the long-term plan? Yeah, well, obviously the staff
staff collating all the responses, processing them. They get them out to us. They're delivered in boxes, boxes of, wish to be heard. Here's a submission but don't wish to be heard. And then we read them, and then we begin that process both in the city and out in the community.
Absolutely. I just want to quickly cover the development Christchurch that's launched today at the Christchurch City Council. I've talked to Mayor Leanne Dalzell about it. It's all about, I guess, investment into the city, isn't it? Do you want to just give a bit of a quick rundown what it actually does and what it actually is?
Yes, sure. I think there are a couple of principles that underlie it. Acting as a catalyst and a conduit for investment in the city. So it could be that place where people can identify and say, yes, we want to invest. Let's go there. They can make it happen.
Do you think it will work?
I think it could. I think in anything there's always risk, but my outlook is you take small steps in the risk. Okay. You don't go out big time, but you take small. Cool.
Christchurch City Councillor Glenn Livingston, thank you so much for coming in. Thanks. Really appreciate it. Well, still to come here on CTV News, business, sport and your region's weather.
With all the latest innovations in the world of technology, Shift has everything you need to stay informed and in the know. Shift, 2:15 on Monday, right here on CTV.
Opus is recreating the heart of Canterbury. From large-scale projects to commercial buildings. Your design, your vision. Opus.
In your life. Colour Steel, the roof of New Zealand.
Diversity. No deposit. Instant finance. Convenience. Open 7 days. Austin Motor Company.
Drive It showcases the new arrivals to the motoring world, comparing and testing the latest models to discover which one is the best. Drive It, Sunday afternoons at 2:30, only on CTV.
And welcome back to CTV News. Now here's Warren Head with this week's Business Roundup.
Hi, I'm Warren Head from headliner.co.nz. First thing today, take a look and see what the Reserve Bank is saying on the economy as we got to one of those official cash rate announcements. The big takeaway is that interest rates are not going up anytime soon. They say it's stimulatory, which for them means it's 3.5% unchanged, which means for the trading banks, the people that you get your mortgages from, no change in the interest rate structure warranted there either. And the bank's always good for a quick view of where things are going. We seem to be a bit in balance. Global growth assisted by the big fall in world oil prices, down 50% over the last year. And at home here, our economy growing at an annual rate of 3.5%. Where's it coming from? Well, high immigration coming in, low interest rates, and that fall in fuel prices. But on the other side, dairy incomes are lower, as we know. The drought is still lingering out there. And the high exchange rate weighs on everybody, apart from those who are thinking in terms of an overseas holiday and what the cost the Kiwi will buy over there. So let's look then at some of those dairy implications. As we know, things are a little bit tight on the farm. The news overnight was that Westland Dairy, one of the big operators in the south with a plant at Hokitika and a big facility at Christchurch, has indicated that its payout range will now be $4.90 to $5.10 a kg for milk solid. That compares with Fonterra at $4.70 when they top up with their dividend, take that through to about $5. But where this is at is 5 months ago, the Westland milk forecast was $5.80. So obviously, they're going to be starting to move away from these volatile bulk dairy products, milk powders, etc., and in the direction of what they describe as nutritionals. That's infant formula and ultra high temperature milk. Synlait, our local darling of the markets here, came out with news of a new product called In Dreams 3. They apparently are milking cows at night. Pretty exciting if you're a farmer. Perhaps you do get up to watch the sun come up in a different way and spend the day on the golf course. But this is a product full of melatonin, which the cows produce more of after dark. So if you're driving across the plains at night, you like to see the sheds start to light up. They're selling it in a powdered sachet form in North Korea. Sorry, did I say North Korea? South Korea. The North Koreans can't afford it. And I dare say we won't see it here for a little time yet. So sorry, you can't get it at home to help you nod off to sleep. So you have to keep writing notes in the middle of the night after all. In terms of interesting companies, Michael Hill took my attention. 30 years now since Michael Hill started in Whangarei. We have them in all our main malls around this city. They have just opened in New York the Emma and Rowe range of bracelets and charms designed by Emma Hill as the Michael's daughter. So apparently more stores in New York coming up for him. Well, good on him for durability and sticking it out. I'm Warren Head for headliner.co.nz.
Thanks for that, Warren. Well, now to sport. The Crusaders will be taking on the Hurricanes this weekend in Wellington, but will they have what it takes to beat one of the top contenders? There's only a couple of changes for this weekend's lineup against the Capitals side, with the Crusaders ready, hoping for another success. The men in red and black took a win at the weekend against the bottom of the New Zealand Conference table, the Blues. Now they've got a challenge on their hands, focusing on the match ahead, and this time it's the Hurricanes who are currently at the top of the table. Crusaders head coach Todd Blackadder says it's been a slow start for the team this season, but they're ready.
Well, I think every team, has got their weak side. They're vulnerable in certain places, but we obviously know it's going to be a real challenge. Something we're very focused and excited about. The
Crusaders haven't yet faced the Hurricanes in the Super Rugby season this year, only in a pre-season match where they were thrashed by the side. And Blackadder says he's been keeping a close eye on their attack skills.
Their forwards have really stepped up this year, and their backs have always, threats right across the board, and they're playing with a lot of continuity, and they've got a real attacking mindset, and they've got some game breakers. But we're going there to attack, so we're looking forward to it.
There are a few changes to the side, with Richie McCaw ruled out after suffering a head knock. However, it's likely he'll be back for the following Super Rugby match, with Matt Todd stepping up to the number 7 jersey. Andy Ellis will also be in the starting lineup at number 9, with Mitchell Drummond taking to the bench. And Blackadder says it was an easy change.
We didn't have a lot of, the guys are obviously in form, and with Richie being out, it's really easy to make that change.
And the Crusaders captain knows what they're in for this weekend.
It's a different kettle of fish this week against the top side, so I'm going to have to be right on our game.
And he says there's a lot of pressure on the Canterbury line.
They've scored a lot of tries, so certainly our defence is going to probably be the one under the most tests this week. So we've spoken about that. We know their trends. It's one thing knowing what they do, but it's another thing stopping it. So big onus on the guys to get up in their face and don't give them as much time as they've had.
The Crusaders will make their way to the Cake Tin in Wellington to take on the Hurricanes this Saturday night at 7:35. Jared McCulloch, CTV Sport. Well, now let's take a look at the weather around the region.
Good evening, Canterbury. Let's take a look at today's temperatures. Down in Timaru, you had a high of 16 today. Temuka and Geraldine, you were also both on 16 degrees. It was slightly cooler in Methven and Ashburton, who both shared a high of 15. Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston, you were also on 15 degrees. Lincoln and Christchurch, it was 15 for your Thursday. Over the hill in Akaroa, 15 degrees for you. Looking to the Waimakariri district now, Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley all shed a high of 16. Taking a look further inland, Culverden, Hamner Springs and Cheviot shared the region's high of 17 degrees. Kaikoura, 16 degrees for your Thursday. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's temperatures. Timaru, sunny and cool with light northeasterly winds, frosts morning and night. Tonight's low getting down to a chilly 0 degrees, tomorrow's high 15. Ashburton, fine and frosty for your Friday with light winds. However, you might need to light the fire this evening as tonight's low is a chilly -1, tomorrow's high 15 degrees. Taking a look at the Garden City now, lots of sunshine and some northeasterly winds, but temperatures will remain cool. Tonight's low 0, tomorrow's high 14 degrees. Up in Kaikoura, clear skies and light winds make for a great autumn Friday in Kaikoura. Tonight's low 0, tomorrow's high 14. And in other areas around the region, expect a cool but fine day. Temuka and Geraldine, fine and cool with a high of 15. Methven and Rakaya, a high of 15 degrees for your Friday. Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston also on 15 degrees. Looking at Lincoln now, fine and a high of 15. Over in Akaroa, fine with 14 degrees. Rangiora, Kaipoi and Amberley, a high of 15 for your Friday. And up north in Culverden, Hamner Springs and Cheviot, a high of 15 for you. Now looking ahead for Canterbury, throughout the weekend and through to Monday, mostly sunny skies and moderate northeasterly winds. Pleasant temperatures by day but cold at night with light frosts possible. It will be mild on Tuesday with high cloud increasing during the day and freshening northeasterly winds. Cloudy on Wednesday with rain in the morning, but sunny periods developing during the afternoon. And that's your weather for Thursday. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Mercy. And just before we go tonight, a South Canterbury farming couple has broken a barley harvest world record. Warren and Joy Darling from Poplar Grove Farm harvest 13.8 tonnes of barley per hectare, beating the previous record of 12.2 tonnes by a Scottish farmer back in 1989. The Darlings say the crop was made possible thanks to good weather conditions on their coastal property, which retained plenty of rain in winter and was sheltered from the hot summer. Fantastic work. But for now, that is CTV News for Thursday. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Good evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.